Hello everyone, my name is Jen, and if for some reason you are someone who's watching my videos, welcome back to my channel. So, I previously uploaded a video on the same topic about the palettes that I have that I kind of have on reserve that I will use eventually. However, someone did not like the fact that I have allergies. So I am re-recording the video. Hopefully my allergies can behave for 10 or so minutes while I go through the palettes I have in reserve that I will use eventually. So then let's get started. And I guess we can start with good old controversial Jeffree Star. So I have 4 of his palettes that are in my to use eventually pile, 2 of which I got in just this past mystery boxes, his wintry boxes. So I'll start with those 2. So first palette is the Controversy palette. As I've said time and time again, I really do enjoy using color. So seeing, this vibrant and nonsensical color story doesn't intimidate me or scare me. So when I eventually have space on my makeup shelf to put this, I will be very happy to use it. The other palette I got in the winter boxes is the Orgy palette. When this palette launched, it didn't really entice me, an all matte nude shade palette, not that exciting. Looking at it, it definitely does, have variety in transition shades and like outer corner if you want to do like a brown smoky eye. But my color loving self, this just doesn't speak to me. This palette, the next palette, was re-released on Black Friday. It is the Thirsty palette. I never got a chance to get it before he discontinued it. And I was sad when I heard about it because the shimmers in here look absolutely beautiful. And I love that it has those pops of colors, but then also those neutral, those transition shades. So you really can make very wearable looks with this. So I definitely look forward to using this palette in the hopefully near future. And then the last palette by Jeffree that I have in reserve. When did I get this? I think it was the Halloween boxes I got this. Now, I am a very pale individual, as you can tell. So prior to getting this, the thought of, this palette kind of intimidated me because reds tend to, really wash me out. But when I actually saw the Blood Sugar palette in person, I saw that it really is much more wearable than I thought. The only color that really scares me is the shade Prick because it's like a bright orange red. But other than that, everything else really is very wearable. I can do burgundies, in like my outer corner and transition to a shimmer shade, but just those bright reds that just really wash me out. So I will definitely see what I can do with this. Not sure when I'm going to bring this into my rotation. I'm currently doing a 2-week challenge with the Jeffree and Morphe collab. I'm not sure what my next 2-week challenge is going to be. I'm thinking maybe my Dominique Cosmetics palettes because I have 3 of them. So I could definitely get a variety of looks from those. But we will see. I'll probably decide tomorrow what my next challenge is going to be. So the next brand I'm going to talk about is Anastasia Beverly Hills. So going back to Black Friday, like how Jeffree re-released the Thirsty palette, Anastasia re-released the Sultry palette. I was not into makeup years ago when this was on the market, so I definitely missed out on my chance to get this palette. However, when I saw the color story and heard that it was re-releasing, it really did excite me. Now I am, a colorful woman. I love colors on my lids. As you can tell, I have like the orange and the green, but you can never go wrong with a neutral palette. This is very neutral, but it does have that pink there, that little pop of color. So this can be just like an everyday kind of go-to. And maybe, once I go through like my neutral palettes, and finish those off, like once I finish off my Soft Glam palette or my Latte palette, I can put this one into rotation because this is a very neutral day-to-day palette. And then the next palette from ABH, I actually just picked up today, so this actually wasn't mentioned in my previous video. I was kind of toying with the idea of picking up the Norvina palette, but I got a notification from Ulta via the app that there were 4 times the points for Diamond members, and I am a Diamond member, so I was thought, what better time than to get this palette. I love the formula of the shimmers for ABH. The mattes blend seamlessly, and again, it is a pretty neutral palette, but it also does have those pops of colors. So probably more pops of color for sure than the Sultry palette. So I might end up reaching for this palette more than the Sultry, again, once they are eventually introduced into my collection. The next, I have a couple more palettes I'm going to talk about, but the next 5 palettes I'm going to talk about, I got during the VI, I think it was it's not the VIB, is it the VIB? Whatever Ulta's, periodic sale is, the special sale event, I picked these up. So first one is the Morphe 35XO. This color scheme, really made me happy. The mauve pinks. It does have neutrals and some purples. Definitely just a beautiful palette, a beautiful color story. I honestly don't mind their pressed glitters. I use the pressed glitter from the Morphe Jeffree palette for New Year's Eve. You definitely don't get many uses out of what they give you, but it really is beautiful. And if you use the glitter glue, the glitter primer, then it stays on perfectly. Next palette I got during that time was by Pat McGrath. Typically, she is a very expensive brand. Usually it's 10 shades for $125. But this palette, obviously the pan sizes are much smaller than what the typical pan sizes are. And that's why I really got it, so I can try the formula without paying the $125 price tag. There aren't many mattes in here. There's only 3 mattes. So it's this one there, and then this one. So you pretty much know what your transition shades are going to be and how they're going to work. But your lid shade really varies. This shade right here really intrigues me. It's kind of like duochrome shift between green, blue, and purple. So that does excite me. So eventually I will introduce this into my active rotation, but for now it will wait. This next palette is by Urban Decay, and I got this to replace my Sylvia Gani palette by BH Cosmetics. That was a couple years old. So the Born to Run palette, I would say, has a similar color story to the Sylvia Gani palette. It has that green, those oranges. So I thought this would be, a good, replacement for that palette. I absolutely adored the Sylvia Gani palette, but I just realized that it was it was like 3 years old. I didn't reach for it as much as I used to. So I thought, why not get rid of it and get a similar palette that is more current and definitely not expired. So that's what I did with this one. The next two palettes, it was like a BOGO. So I was intrigued by the brand Zoeva. They had like a sale, like you spent this much on their product and you got a free palette. So the palette that I bought was the Caramel Melange, pretty basic neutral. The transition shades over here, there's 6 mattes and 4 shimmers. They look really pretty, really beautiful. Similar to shades that I have, but not exactly. And this corally brown tan shade, it just really makes my heart happy. So I'm excited to use that. So this is the palette that I paid for. And then the palette that was the freebie is the Offline palette. This one's more of a pastel-y, colorful palette. Given the choice, I definitely would not have this in my collection. However, a free palette is a free palette. So if I enjoy the formula of the caramel palette, then I'll hold on to this one. But if I don't, then I'll kind of just give this one away for free because I did get it for free. Okay, almost there. Only have 4 left. So the next 3 I got in BoxyCharm, and the last one I got as a result of a coupon from BoxyCharm. And I know I have one more, I just don't know where I put it. But I'll talk about the last one. Okay. So this next palette, I want to say I got in my November Boxy Premium. It's the Il Masqua Unveiled Artistry palette. Not a very exciting color story. This palette is apparently worth like $50 or so. It's a pretty, heavy palette for its size. I heard it's a wonderful formula, really good brand, awesome pigmentation. So I am intrigued to see how it performs for me. The next palette, never heard of the brand until I got it at BoxyCharm. It's very similar, I would say, to the Jawbreaker palette. So it is the Illuminati and Issa palette. Very, like the pastels, and it has like the glitters. This glitter here is a very chunky glitter. And this seems to be more of a pressed glitter down here, and then just there's some shimmers. I'm not sure how I really feel about this palette. The color scheme and everything doesn't make, my heart jump for joy when I look at it. But I will certainly give it a try. The last palette that I got from BoxyCharm is I got last month in my premium. Well, this was my Luxe. I can't remember, but I canceled my Luxe subscription. But this is a Hip Dot palette. Very, very beautiful. It is a Cenote palette. Blue, just a very blue palette. I would kind of, compare this to the Blue Blood palette just because it has the blues. But I would definitely say this is much more wearable. A variety of shimmers. There's only 2 blues that are matte in here. So, I've heard Hip Dot has a wonderful formula. I have used the other palette I got from them in BoxyCharm a couple times, and I've been quite pleased with the performance. Okay, so the next brand I'm going to talk about, I actually have 2 from this brand. No, 1 from this brand and then another brand that I'm going to talk about. So, in November, the base box, people got a mini Natasha Denona palette, and we also got a coupon. So with that coupon, I purchased this palette. This is the bronze palette. I also purchased another one of her minis, one of the super mini ones, the $25 ones. That one is in my bathroom somewhere, I believe. I've heard that her formula is absolutely stunning. I used that larger 5-pan palette, the Peak palette, a couple of times, and just made really beautiful looks on my eyes. So I'm really, pleased with her formula. And until I go through some of my neutral palettes, this will remain in reserve. And then the last palette that I have, that I don't physically have with me because I forgot where I put it, or it might have, been hidden somewhere because it is a small palette, but is the Amethyst palette by Huda Beauty. I purchased it from add-ons because last month in December it was in the base box, but I had luck, so I did not get that palette, so I purchased it via add-ons for like $12. That is in my eventual palette usage collection. I've been using her Huda lights. Some of the colors don't really perform well on me, but I have no qualms with the quality of the eyeshadow. It's just more of the pigmentation of those light pink colors. However, I don't think there's really going to be any issue with the purples. Those will certainly show up on my fair skin. So yeah, that's it for my to be used eventually eyeshadow collection. I'm really trying hard to, really hit pan and just focus on, one or two eyeshadow palettes at a time, because having so many, I'm never gonna hit pan and, go through them. So I really have to take the time to focus on a couple palettes at a time so that I can declutter and go through and get my money's worth from each palette. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, any comments, need for clarifications, just want to tell me that you think this video idea is really cool, just let me know, leave a comment down below. Other than that, have a great night.